This is one of the most decisive and successful demonstrations of the United States military capability in the Western Hemisphere in decades. Now, what did this do? Okay, I want to stop. Let's stop pretending here. All right. You know, and this was all these people who have all these things to say about the United States and how we on the decline and all that. Okay. This operation didn't just show how far the United States can reach. It embarrassed China and Russia on a global stage. Venezuela is their homie. Somebody type homeboy in the chat room. Your homeboy got gaffled. Your homeboy whole team got ran through. You see, I'm talking to China and Russia. See, for years, both of those countries have been selling themselves as the military equals of the United States. They're flooding places like Venezuela with their so-called world-class defense systems. And, you know, as my man said, with the glossy brochures and big promises and big talk. And the moment that real American pressure, that real American pressure got applied, right? As they used to say back, the minute they got pressed, they folded up like a house of cards.
This wasn't an invasion, it was a surgical extraction. We finally have the declassified timeline of how U.S. forces breached the heart of Caracas and extracted Nicolas Maduro. Let's start with step one, the setup. This didn't happen overnight. For months, the U.S. had been tightening a naval quarantine around Venezuela. The U.S. Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group and the U.S. Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group were parked off the coast. The pretext was clear. The U.S. designated the Venezuelan government a narco-terrorist state, specifically targeting the drugs lords, but while the Navy squeezed the coast, intelligence assets were tracking one man. They waited for a specific window, a moment where Maduro was stationary and vulnerable. Step 2, the strike. It began at exactly 2 in the morning Venezuelan Standard Time. High above, several F-35 stealth fighters punch a hole through the enemy lines, destabilizing their anti-air defenses. Like these Russian S-300 missiles located all over the strategic high-value target. With the skies cleared, the path opens for Delta Force helicopters to fly straight towards the mission. Here comes the deception as the helicopters flew. The jets started firing with more strikes as it hit Fort Tuna, the main military base and command center, and La Carlova Air Base, destabilizing Venezuelan air support. Reports from the ground describe widespread explosions and a sudden communications blackout. The chaos wasn't the goal, it was the cover.
Take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time.
Play games. This was an example of F around and find out. F-A-F-O. This is what we see going on a political level. Okay, F around and find out.
And thinks nothing's going to happen.
Not here for these.
And I hope what people now understand is we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it.
Everybody needs a hype man like this. Look, man, I told y'all 100 times if I told you once. Okay? We not playing these games anymore with you all. Y'all need to stay down. Okay, the boss is back. We doing it big. We taking over the block, we taking over the whole city. You understand? That's the translation right there. We're not, this ain't Biden. We not Obama out here. Okay? We doing it big. We putting the smack down on people. That's the ghetto hood translation of what that.
He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. You know, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States, and the president addressed it. This is a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else right now, very happy, but instead he wanted to play big boy. And so now, he's got other sets of problems on his hands. And but I think that the message here should be for the world. Look, the president doesn't go out looking for people to pick fights with. He's not generally wants to get along with everybody. We'll talk and meet with anybody, but don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out well. And so I hope that
you are going to get that work. Okay, that's what he said. You're going to get that work. It's not a game, sir. We're not playing. Okay?
I guess that lesson was learned last night, and we hope it'll be instructive moving forward.
Some satellite pics have confirmed 7 craters at key bases like El Librador Air Base, and Venezuela's state TV has gone dark, hinting at internal fractures happening throughout the country. This wasn't random strikes. They were calculated, peel back the onion and strike the regime where it hurts type strikes. So peeling back all those layers and striking at all the right places and then nabbing Maduro in his undies. Talk about getting caught with your pants down. So now let's shift to some of the airframes that made the defenses go down and made this strike happen. Those airframes weren't just flying around doing what they do on the daily. They were the backbone of this multi-domain takedown. So take the F-35 Lightning II, that's Lockheed Martin's stealth multi-role fighter, with over 20 of them likely in the mix, coming in from the Green Mountain Boys in Vermont, maybe some other ones rolling in from the 33rd Fighter Wing at Eglin Air Force Base. It's got a Pratt & Whitney F-135 engine, and if you've heard me talk about this thing before, 43,000 pounds of thrust, so it can super cruise at Mach 1.5 without afterburner. But the real edge is the radar cross-section that is smaller than a golf ball, allowing for the ghost runs that took place in Venezuela. Likely above 30,000 feet, or they could even be low if they wanted to, but basically coming in over top of Curacao and then probing the radars with lock-ons. And what they likely saw was once they locked onto the radars couldn't see them and couldn't lock back. But as we saw, the EA-18G, the F-18, and likely even the F-35 itself, but the F-35 wasn't seen, ran 20 plus drills sharing sensor data via data links, via Link 16, passing all that information to Aegis combat systems. So the F-35 had likely done multiple of these drills to see what they needed to do at minute 1. The tipping point of the spear, going in, locking onto these radars, and then taking them down, or just passing the coordinates to an F-18 that can fire an AGM-88 HARM missile. This is the real teeth of the mission, called SEED, and that's the suppression of enemy air defenses. I know you guys are waiting for an acronym. You acronym-hungry viewers out there, hopefully you're happy now. But SEED is the main mission of that F-35, going in there, spotting all the radars, passing those targeting coordinates to all the different jets in the strike package, likely the F-18s, and that's just a deadly combination. And then if that wasn't enough, if that wasn't cool enough, we also had the F-22 Raptor in the mix. Likely they launched from Langley Air Force Base. Those have twin Pratt & Whitney F-119 engines that crank 35,000 pounds each of thrust, so up to 70,000 pounds of thrust, Mach 2.25 for sprints if needed, and likely this would have handled any high-speed intercepts over any of the international waters or over Venezuela itself. These F-22s likely had their fangs through the floor, ready to down any decoy drones or take down any Su-30s that scrambled. If it was my opinion, I would say they would also be loaded down with small diameter bombs that could strike the different Su-30s as they sit on the tarmac. Likely you wouldn't want to strike the F-16s because at some point potentially building a defense force for Venezuela where they don't have the cartel military anymore, but they have a small internal defense force to protect themselves. But why not just take down the Su-30s and then have them focus on the F-16s? But the electronic muscle came from the EA-18G Growler from VAQ-130, likely Boeing's carrier-based jamming aircraft. It uses 2 General Electric F414 turbofans, 44,000 pounds of total thrust, can loiter around at 500 miles per hour just on a yawn. Doesn't take anything for that thing to fly at 500 miles per hour. And then it can build what I like to call jamming walls. So when you think of clearing an entire pathway into the country, you got to think of jamming walls. So up to 50 nautical miles plus offshore, the EA-18Gs are there to blind X-band radars, and then they're backed up by F-18Es and Fs that can carry multiple JDAMs. The EA-18G and the F-18E and F, those are the workhorses of the USS Ford. And for weeks, these jets practiced their strikes along the coast of Venezuela. The ops tempo was incredibly high, so the pilots, the maintainers, everybody was operating at an extremely high ops tempo. But really, it comes down to getting these jets up into the airspace, spotting the radars, using the F-35, teaming up with the F-35, and then releasing HARMs, high-speed anti-radiation missiles. Again, second acronym, don't worry, I'm your daily dealer of acronyms. And then it said that the B-1B Lancers from Dias rolled in. And if this doesn't get your heart pounding, I don't know what will. And the B-1s have 4 F-16 engines on them. So these things could loiter up at 40,000 feet plus, and they could drop their JDAMs or Joint Direct Attack munitions to strike any of the sites that were spotted or any of the command nodes that would be talking to the different surface-to-air missiles.
And then we got a doctrine. It basically says we're not the world's police anymore. Jeez, finally. We're the boss of our own hemisphere, and everyone else can deal with theirs. On December 5th, the White House released Trump's new national security strategy. Inside the document is something they're already calling the Trump corollary to the old Monroe Doctrine. Translation, the United States is already declaring dominance over the Western Hemisphere. North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. He's basically saying that this is our neighborhood, our rules. At the same time, it signals something huge. America is stepping back from trying to manage every crisis on the planet. Here's the core of it. America first, but not just a slogan, as the actual blueprint. The strategy says that the US is done acting like a global babysitter and instead wants to be a regional superpower at home with select pressure overseas. It talks about sovereignty, borders, migration, cartels, critical minerals, energy, not spreading democracy or building global institutions. And in Europe, the document literally talks about civilization erasure, mass migration, and cultural collapse. It basically tells Europe, you're on your own. In the Americas, this doctrine means cracking down on cartels and narco-terror groups, pushing
all you Europeans that have such negative things to say about America and Americans, now you're on your own.
Specialized helicopters hovered over the objective to insert the assault team. While dozens of attack helicopters laid down suppression fire, the Delta Special Forces descended and started the search for the high-value targets. How did they find him? Simple. The CIA had planted spy inside Nicolas Maduro's close circle. While back in the US, Delta Force built an exact replica of his safe house, rehearsing the raid until they could do it blindfolded. While operators breached the room so fast, his security could not even react to the situation as the sound of flash grenades disoriented the security guard. Using blowtorch, they caught him before he could even lock all the doors. Maduro's shock and awe froze him as Delta Force breached the compound. Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, were physically secured. This wasn't a negotiation. They were detained and immediately moved to the extraction point. These aircraft are capable of performing urban extractions from buildings and refueling in midair. Within minutes, they were airborne, leaving Venezuelan airspace and heading to a secure floating staging base in the Caribbean. This Operation Southern Spear has changed the geopolitical map of South America overnight. But wait, before after the extractions, there were reports of F-35 jets also leading the tip of the spear for the attack. We'll look how the United States used F-35 jets instead of F-16s for operations in Venezuela, because this is a well-organized and militarized Venezuela has positioned advanced Russian S-300 missile systems, Chinese radar networks, integrated Russian air defenses, and Shahed drones along its borders. This creates a highly lethal and challenging environment that older S-16s would struggle to survive. As stated, around 150 aircrafts and a massive 8 U.S. destroyers were stationed there. It also has 3 amphibious aircraft carrier and surveillance plane to turn it into a massive command and control juggernaut capable of overcoming a modern military's air defenses. Signals a readiness to counter Venezuela's entire air defense network if necessary. But why Venezuela Air Force failed to intercept? As of 2025, Venezuela's fighter jet fleet consists mainly of approximately 21 Sukhoi Su-30 multirole fighters delivered by Russia between 2006 and 2008, which now form the backbone of their combat air power. Additionally, they maintain about 5 operational S-16 Fighting Falcons from an older batch, including 3 single-seat S-16As and 2 two-seat S-16Vs. These S-16s are aging and suffer from limited maintenance and part support due to U.S. sanctions, although they have been supplemented with Israeli upgrades. Venezuela acquired its F-16 jets from the United States through a foreign military sales agreement called Peace Delta in May 1982, during a period of good diplomatic and military relations. They were the first Latin American country to receive the S-16, with deliveries occurring between 1983 and 1985. The reason the US does not use S-16s in current operations is because these jets lack the stealth capabilities necessary to evade the S-300 and other integrated defenses. The advanced S-300V or anti-2500 systems, supported by dense Chinese and Russian radar, can easily detect and target older aircraft at long ranges. Sending F-16s into such an environment would result in high attrition risks, as they are vulnerable to radar detection and missile engagement. Not to forget the Russian Buk air defense system that can take out an S-16 with ease. These are cheap R-15 or 24 Buk systems are already active and mobile all over the country. Additionally, S-16s are less effective in contested airspace saturated with drones, especially the Iranian Shahed drones used by Venezuela for reconnaissance and kamikaze strikes. The F-35, however, offers crucial advantages. Its stealth design enables it to fly undetected or with much lower risk, making it effective against advanced surface-to-air missiles and networked radar systems. Its sensor fusion, electronic warfare, and data link capabilities allow it to simultaneously suppress and target mobile and fixed air defense positions, adapting rapidly to counter Russian and Chinese radar configurations.
I'm a black American. I can trace my roots back hundreds of years in this country. And I have every right to complain about America because of the things historically that black Americans have had to endure in this country. But when push comes to shove, when it gets down to it, I know where I live. I know where I sleep. I know where my family lives. So I am 100% America first. Now, you may not like my politics. I may not like another American's politics, but when it comes down to it, we have to support America because this is our land. This is our territory, and you would be stupid not to. Now, again, for you haters out there, if you don't like it, you can leave. If you don't like it, you can complain. You can write articles. You can write whatever you want to do, and that's what makes America great. You have a right to complain. But don't you ever fix your filthy mouths to try to equate what China or Russia is doing to what America has already achieved. They do not hold water. All that you all have been talking is propaganda. And let me hit you with something else. Let's be honest about what all this really means. You online haters who spent years hyping up all these other countries like they're ready to go toe-to-toe with the United States. Where you gonna move? Remember, everybody's talking about they moving to Canada. Nobody moved. Here's a reality check. All you big tough guys, you got exposed. The idea that either one of these countries, what we talking about, Venezuela, Iran, remember they were passing out weapons to the Venezuelan people like they were gonna do something. All of that photo. You see those ladies sticking out? They just sticking out their balcony. Oh Lord, and nobody coming. Nobody wants none of it. They don't want none of these Army Rangers. Do you think they want to see these Army Rangers? No, they went in their house. Okay? So if you've been rooting for America's downfall, you're free to hope, but it isn't a strategy. You understand? Now again, that collapse may come one day soon. But it ain't coming anytime soon. And it's certainly not at the hands of some of these states that can't even protect their own president. And here's the part that many people won't admit. This is what I voted for. This is what the majority of the Americans, but I don't care what anyone said. This is what we voted for. And when I say this is what we voted for, I'm saying winning. Somebody type winning in the chat room. Isn't that Donald Trump once said, you're going to get tired of winning. And this is what he meant. Whatever you think about the United States, whatever you think about Donald Trump and his politics, it's a culture, it's arguments, whatever. Americans love success. Americans love winning on a global stage. We like clear, decisive victories. We like decisive outcomes. The last time our country felt a clean, undeniable military win was Gulf War I under George Herbert Walker Bush. And people remember how that felt. You see? It happened fast, it was effective. See, before that, we had got mired down in Vietnam, and that felt bad. Prior to that, we were dealing with Korea, and that was just like a fight we stalled. And then the last time before that was World War II. We had a decisive win. We like winning. It makes us feel good. We like going out, whooping up on other people's behinds. And we're not going to apologize for it. We like that.
Well, it seems like people been lying about the strength of America. Seems like we can get anybody at any time. And y'all damn well better know it. You know what I'm saying? For years and years and years, people been talking about the decline of America's might. And in one fell swoop, we've changed the geopolitical map. And it benefits all Americans. Y'all might not see it now, but trust me, you damn sure will. But let me know what you think about this video. It's your man, Kris B. Like and subscribe to the channel.